Hey friends, I wanted to do a quick video and share with you some cool tricks you can do with Microsoft Excel. Now this is only going to work on Windows. I'm going to be using Thinkorswim as my broker platform. I believe Interactive Brokers also has this capability, but the formulas that you use might end up looking a little bit different, but it shouldn't be too far off. Anyway, so if you're on Windows and you have Microsoft Excel, this might be cool. So here I'm already running Thinkorswim, so that's going to be running in the background, and I have the ability to pull information out of this platform into Microsoft Excel and then do Excel-y kinds of things with it. I'm going to build a spreadsheet and just slowly kind of layer on functionality as we go, right? So first I'm going to add an input for the underlying that we want to trade. So using that first put credit spread strategy as an example, and I'm going to use SPY as the underlying, so I'm going to put SPY here. But by putting this in a cell, I'll be able to change it later, right? So the other thing I can do is get the mark price. So this is what RTD links look like. So RTD is an Excel standard for sharing data to Excel from your application. So it's a formula, right? So if I say like equals 1 plus 1, that's a formula, and Excel will evaluate it and give me a 2. I can also do a function like max 3 comma 4, and Excel will evaluate it. RTD is just another function, and you pass it toss.rtd in double quotes as a string. You can emit the server, and then I want to get mark price of my underlying, which I'm going to reference by the cell, and there it is. So this is the current mark price of SPY. If the market was live right now, you would actually see this changing in real time. Oh, it is actually. Oh yeah, it's 24 hours. Of course, SPY was a good choice. So yeah, you can see it's updating live. That's our mark price. That's our underlying. That's great. Hey guys, I just wanted to mention the spreadsheet I'm building in this video. I'm going to link it in a post down below. So you don't have to type all this stuff in. It's just helpful to know how I construct the various bits, so when you're making your own spreadsheet, you get some tips from the video that hopefully help. And this is a brand new channel, so if this video is useful, it'd be awesome if you could hit the like button. It really helps the channel a lot. And subscribe if you want to see more options trading videos and slice of life as I do this trading Nomad thing and see how I go. All right, anyway, back to the video. So what else do we want? Let's say what expiration date we want to work with, right? So I'm going to add expiration date column. I'm going to go 60 days out-ish, so, but I like the monthly expiration, so that puts us on October 20th. 2023 is 78 days out, so I'm going to use that one, October 20th. I'm going to go ahead down here and make a put chain, kind of like we have here, where we have these put strikes down the side. Once we got a strike, and then I'm going to say price. For the first one, I want to take the at the money, right? But that's not an integer value, so we really want it to be, or we can do it round. Okay, so now we have an integer value. That's really great. Something we're going to need later, I'm going to go ahead and add it now, is a step size. So what this is going to refer to is, so for SPY, when we're at the money, oh, well, it's gone up so high, we actually have some $5, but it's really a $1 step size, right, in the kind of meat of the chain. If I look at something like SPX, it's like $5. That's as granular as it gets between the strikes. So doing $1 step size isn't really going to make a lot of sense, because we're going to have, the $4 in between don't have any data. There is no real option for that. So we just want somewhere where we can say, hey, this is the step size that we want to use for this list, right? And so we're going to go with 1. Oh, but let me show 10 as the example, right? So what if it was 10? This happens to be right on a 10 interval, but that's not necessarily the case. So what we would do is trim off any excess. So we want the same value, and we want to do modulo by the step size. And so what that'll do is it'll divide it, find the remainder, and subtract it, right? So for example, if you ask for the mod of 451 with our step size of 10, it gives you 1. So that 451 kicks out a 1. Over here, we're going to subtract that mod value, so that 1 would get subtracted. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm saying. This is going to give us a step size multiple in our strike column that is close to the mark. That's really what I'm trying to accomplish there. That's probably the most complicated part of this video. So the next strike down, I'm going to go down from the at the money. We're doing puts, and we're getting further and further below the money, selling insurance further and further out, right? So we'll take this strike, and we'll subtract the step size, and that gets us 440. This strike minus the step size again, that gets us 430, right? So I'm going to carry this out to like 100. Oh, I know what. This needs to have $1. So if you say H1 in this cell, then or in this cell, for example, as you carry it down, it goes to H2, H3, H4. It's trying to like track it down, and these values are all 0. We actually want to say all of these should be H1 specifically. Every single row should use H1. And the way you do that in Excel is you put in a $sign. So that $1 means don't change the 1. We always want row 1. Okay, there we go. And in fact, now I'm going to change the step size back to 1. With the mark price, what I did was I said something like RTD, right? Toss.rtd is always that. You always give the second argument. And then mark, and then I used SPY, right? I did it by cell, but and you know that works. But these are options. Now, if I right-click on the bid or the ask over here on the put chain, just wherever, see how does this copy.spy 231020 P435? So this is the ticker of that specific put option. So SPY is the ticker of the SPY ETF. Every single one of these put options in October and every single one in each expiration has its own ticker. Now, I'm going to copy this just so we have it for reference, right? But let's see if we can come up with a formula for it, right? So what we want is, concat is another Excel function that lets us take a bunch of text and smash it together into one value, right? So we're going to concat dot. I want to take the underlying, the SPY, I want to take it from here. So if we change it later, it'll track throughout the spreadsheet. So we're adding the SPY. Next, we want the date. So this 231020. That's a re-encoding of this date here, right? So it's basically giving us a text version of this using a particular format, which is year, month, day. I hope that works, but we'll find out shortly. Then I'm only looking at puts. So there's P for put. And then finally, it's adding the strike price at the end, which we can just grab from here. So all of that hopefully will build us what's called an Oprah code. So here's the Oprah code, here's the Oprah code. So I'm going to call this Oprah. I'm going to get rid of this column now, actually. And then I'm going to take these, I'm going to move them over one. So this Oprah code, it's going to be the same kind of thing. Dollar, right, be $1, $1. A4 is the strike. We want that to track down. And here we have the Oprah codes being programmatically generated based on what the strike price is. We can change the date. If we wanted November 17th, we could do that. And there's November 17th. All the Oprah codes fill in correctly. So that was, that was the hard part too there. But now we have them. And so now, if I want to know like what the mid price is, I can ask cost.rtd. There's an extra comma. I want the mid price of this ticker. Oh, okay, it's not gonna work. Let's do, right, we're gonna average the bid and the ask price together, and that's gonna get us the mid price. So when you're looking at an option, you've got 618 and 622, so the mid price here is gonna be 620, in between the bid and the ask, the average of the two. That's all I'm trying to get here. So this is sort of the fair price, the current market price for that particular option. There we go. So we'll just use 45. That's fine. So here's the mid prices for each of these put options. I had a couple things that I talked about for the width. So I suggested that for a width, you do a minimum of 2% of the price of the underlying. That would be the minimum difference between the put you sell and the put you buy for the put credit spread. I also suggested that you have a min price of 50 cents. I would suggest a min price percent of 0.05. And we'll put a price column here, and we'll just keep using the 50 cents, just so we can tweak these. The min width is 2%, the width is 10, 2% of 450.4 is 9-ish, right? So 10 is more than 9, so that's fine. But we can add a conditional format. So I can say formula. Okay, so we're going to highlight this thing in red if we have a problem, which will be this value is less than 2% of the mark price. Then we want it to color it in red. Right? So if I put in a 6, then we know that we're too narrow. Right? So now we can change the width to whatever we want, but we'll get an indication if we're doing something that might be a problem. So that's fine. Price will do the same thing. I'm going to do a conditional format. You don't have to do this part, but it does just help you avoid making a mistake, right? Okay. So just if this price is less than 5% times our width, then it's too small. Or if the price is less than our minimum price, just a raw 50-cent value, then it's too low. And we want to make that column red. So if I put in 0.4, that's too small. 0.5 is okay. This price is the price value that we want to find for our put credit spread. Well, what's the price of our put credit spread? So I'm going to put a PCS price column. And at this point, we're adding a column that doesn't exist in Thinkorswim. It doesn't know anything about the put credit spread we're trying to put on. But we can encode what we're looking for right here, right? What is the price? So the first thing is, we'll just do a little scratch thing here, right? So there's something called a VLOOKUP. So with a VLOOKUP, you can say, find me the value in this column that corresponds to a particular value in this column, kind of like a key, right? So what's our key? Well, we're going to sell the 450, but what do we want to buy? We want to buy the $10 lower put, right? So we want to buy that put. We want to buy the 440. Okay, well, what's the price at the 440? Well, we can do a VLOOKUP on the range of A4 to C104. That's our data set we're looking at. A4 minus L1, right? We want to look up 440 in this table, A4C104, and we want column 3 because 1, 2, 3, 3 is the mid column. So this is just the VLOOKUP function. You give it the key you want, which is 440, this value minus this value, dollar here, because as we pull this down, we would want it to track the strike price, but we don't want it to go, we want it to still look at row 1 to get the width, right? And then A4C104 is just this box. It's the upper right is A4 and the upper left is A4, the lower right is C104, and then column 3 is the value we want to pull out. 40, oh, I remember, I need to add, just one of those things, I need to add false. That A4 minus L $1 is the equation I made to take the 450 and then find the width below it. What is the strike we're looking for? So this will evaluate to 440. A4 to C104 is just this whole table. So A4 is the upper left, C104 is the lower right. If we were to scroll down, we would see that. The value we're trying to pull out is column 3. So we're going to look for 440, and then when we find that row, we're going to pull out column 3, which is our price. And then false is just a VLOOKUP hint telling it we want an exact match. We're looking for 440 specifically. If you don't put that in this scenario, it's not going to work. So that gave us our price. So this is not the price of this one, this is the price of this one, which is great because now we know how to calculate our PCS price. Now I'm just going to copy this. So our PCS price is equal to this minus what we just did. So this is the price of a put credit spread with the parameters we've set up here on SPY and this expiration date, where the short strike is at 450 and our long strike is $10 below, right? So that's the credit that we would receive. And so we can take that and extend it down, select all those and make them a number. Okay, that's a little bit more readable, yeah? So this is our put credit spread price. And what put credit spread do we want? Well, we want the one that's at least 50 cents, as we've indicated over here, just using the standard rules, right? So that would be this one right here. So I don't have to go into Thinkorswim and find a short and a long and look at them and then move them down $1 and try again and move them down $1 and try again. I don't have to do any of that. I just come in here, skim down the list, and there's the 50 cents. But we can make it a little bit easier, right? What we want to do is we want to find the row where this is 50 cents or more, but this row is below 50 cents. If, I'm going to do it up here, and I'm just going to say, okay, if the one we're looking at, actually I'm going to do an and, we have two conditions. So the first condition is that the price that we're looking at is greater than or equal to our minimum. It could be the same, that's fine. And the other thing that we want is that this value is less than our minimum. If that's the case, then I'm going to set the sell value to a little arrow to be like, this is the row we want. And if it's not the case, then this is not the row we want. And I'm going to put just an empty double quotes, so it'll just stay blank. Now, R1 is this parameters row. I want to preserve that row number, so I'm going to put the $sign in front of each of these, and then we're going to carry it down, and you can see right at the 50-cent mark, it said that's the row that you want right here. So now you don't even have to look too hard. You just scroll down, you see the arrow. That's great, right? What if we want to look for $1 as our minimum spread? Well, there it is, 430. $10 wide, ship it. That's kind of cool. Now there's something else we could do here. You know how we did cell formatting up here for the colors? Well, we can do it here as well. We can select the whole table. Instead of just showing the arrow, it's kind of nice to just highlight the whole row in green. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And I like to leave this arrow. You can keep this column around or you can hide it. But just to keep things real simple, we're going to right here, we're going to use a formula. Now we're going to say that we want to color it green, $E, so that as you write it in reference to the first upper left cell, but as it looks at each cell, we don't want it advancing columns, so we want the E to be fixed. We're always looking at column E when we're deciding to format each of these columns across the row. And there it is. So it's in green. If we prefer to hide it, we can Control X, Control V to move that stuff over. Could take this and say hide the column. If you don't like the arrow, I'm going to bold labels here. We can grab these. Okay, I've unhidden it just for a moment because I want to take this row and I want to bring that down. And then if I want to hide this, I also have to move this over. And now we can hide it again. So we can do a few more little highlighting tricks in here. You're inputting the SPY, what you want for a step size. Minimum width percent is an input. It's the value that I recommend, but it's an input. Expiration date's an input. These are all inputs. Cell styles, I like to mark them out so you visually see, oh, these are the fields that I'm allowed to be editing. This one is calculated. So now we've got our little spreadsheet, and if we want to do, dollar wide, we can find it. If eventually maybe you're going to upgrade to the SPX. Oops, so you start trading. So we can put in SPX. We can put in a step size of, I would go with 25. We'll keep our 2% minimum width. For width, we're going to go with 100. Minimum price is still 50 cents, but our minimum price as a percentage is 5%. And now that we're 100 wide, our $1 price isn't up to snuff. So we need to at least put in 5, right? So it caught that for us. Here's on the 25s strikes that we can use. There are more strikes in the SPX, but 25 wide, we're doing 100 wide on the put credit spread. This is honestly close enough. And you can see right here, oh, just sell to 4,200. There you go. You're going to collect $5.55. So let's do one more thing, but I'm going to put it back to SPY. So we're back on SPY. I've put everything back to the way it was before. Change should load in just a second. And it's telling us this is the one that we should trade, the 416. So that would be selling the 416 and buying the 406 per our discussion in my earlier videos. So if I come in here and I sell the 416 and I buy the 406, there it's a 50-cent credit. That's no surprise at all. That's what Excel just told us it would be, so that's great. And I can copy this. So you might wonder what that does. And I'm just going to take a look at what that did. Right, that was the full spread order for 50 cents. It gave us this text. Let's see if we can construct this. Okay, so, and we've got a quantity in here, this -1. I'm just going to go ahead and add a quantity field that we can set. I'm going to use 1. We're selling, so it's -1. But for the purpose of this top bar, we're just going to say 1. Why don't we actually move that up here? Okay, so we want to recreate this text, but we want to use the appropriate values for each one of these rows. And we can do that using concat again, and all the little pieces we have floating around on the spreadsheet now. So it's going to be a long one, but that's okay. So we're going to concat, and what we want to do is we want to sell minus our quantity, space, vertical, space, and then it's SPY. Well, that comes from here. 100 is just the, equities are all 100x. If you're trading futures options, that kind of thing, then we'd need to update the spreadsheet with a little extra smarts, but we'll just leave it at 100 for now. The date's going to be a little bit of a guess here, so I'm just going to do a text on the date, the day, and then I'm hoping M is like an abbreviated SEP, like not a number, like 9, and then a 2-digit year value. Another space. It's 416 over 406 from down below. We want the current strike as our short strike, and then a slash, and then we want the current strike minus the width, and then space, and then put. It's always going to be put, always going to have a space, and then at our price, which is our put credit spread price. And when we get down to the .50, it'll be 0.50. I don't think that's a problem, and it's a limit order. We're going to do a little bit more cleanup. G2, so all the 1s and the 2s are these top rows that we set. We want them to carry down. We don't want to have it use successive rows. We want it to always go, for example, for the underlying, it should always be going to B1. So we need to put $1 in to lock that row down. Same with I1, same with G1, same with G2. All right, so looking at these two, sell -1, vertical SPY 115. SEP is lowercase. I think that'll be okay. 23, and then our short put and our long put with a slash. It's a put credit spread at the price we want, LMT. Copy that down. Now we can right click on that row and copy it. This is the row we want. And if I just paste into Notepad to see what it does, that looks like what we want, right? So let's jump over to Thinkorswim. Now in Thinkorswim, when you pop up this order area, there's this little paste icon. You can hit that and it pops in whatever was on your clipboard as a textual description, and it parses it back into an order, right? Remember, we started with an order and we did a right-click copy, which put it into our clipboard as the text that I was using as my template. Well, now I've created templates for every possible put credit spread we would want. I can right-click, I can copy, I can come back in here, hit paste, and the order's right in there. No more jumping around trying to find the exactly magic spot. It's just open your spreadsheet, right-click and copy, come over here and hit this little paste icon, and you're good to go. So this was just an example using that put credit spread strategy as an idea to talk about the Excel linkages. You can, it's a pretty simple strategy. You don't necessarily need a spreadsheet to trade it, but if you like it, it makes your life easier. Great. And this technique, building these things out like this, can be used in a lot of different ways to slice and dice the data in ways that the Thinkorswim platform isn't going to show you, directly. Like you can't easily look at a ladder of put credit spread prices, right, like we have here. And then having this quick order is just like an extra convenience on top. So I hope that was interesting. And Interactive Brokers does have some sort of RTD linkage, but I don't know if they can pull orders in and out of the clipboard or not. I don't have Interactive Brokers, unfortunately. So yeah. All right, I will catch you guys next time.